Welcome back to the intersection where power, policy, and progress converge. Let me ask you this. Are today's athletes just players, or are they the CEOs of their own empires? In Miami, we see it every day. From Wade to Messi to Curry, the sports industry isn't just about the game. It's about business, branding, and law. Today, we're diving into it with veteran sports attorney Alan Fertel and sports expert Arlesha Amazan. Let's get into it. Arlesha, Alan, thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
It's my pleasure to do this with you. I've been looking forward to it.
Me too, because, every so often the law can get a little stuffy, right? But the law's never stuffy when Alan Fertel is in the room. Let's start there. But before we jump into all things Alan, Arlesha, I want to talk to you a little bit. Now, you have worked with some of the biggest names in the game, right, in terms of basketball. Now, tell us, how did you even get an interest in this at all? Because I don't think it's very common for one to just wake up and say, hey, I want to be on the management team of D. Wade or Steph Curry. Like, how did you get here?
Yeah, okay, so my journey started, I was 16 years old in high school, and I was one of the editors of the sports section of the high school newspaper. And I was a big football fan, a big sports fan in high school, and I always knew that I was going to work in sports at some capacity.
Right.
I just didn't know what that capacity was. So I kept that in mind, and I would say it was late 2000, early 2010, I took a look at the industry and saw that the athletes individually were going to be the ones driving the industry. Like I had that foresight and vision.
How?
And so, well, great question. At that time, I was a big fan of individual players, but not the teams.
Okay.
So I was kind of hinting that to myself. I was a big fan of Peyton Manning. So because of that, I was an Indianapolis Colts fan.
Gotcha.
And when Peyton Manning left the Colts to go to the Broncos, I became a Denver Broncos fan. And just seeing how sports was trending, same thing, right? I don't think people woke up and said, I'm going to be a Cleveland Cavaliers fan.
Yeah.
It wasn't until LeBron James was drafted. And so I saw the power of the individual athlete. And so I said to myself, okay, if I do this sports thing, I want to work with athletes. I just saw that, and I was right.
Yeah.
That was a correct assessment. And so, long story short, being based in Miami, the player of interest for me at the time was Dwyane Wade, and I networked very strategically, got in some very smart rooms.
Yeah.
Met the right people, met the right person at the right time, and that ended up being Dwyane Wade's manager. And I got the opportunity to kick off my career, which ended up being a 10-year run on his management team. Worked at CAA Sports for about the same length of time, 10 years, working with Dwyane, and found my way to work for Steph Curry for his private endeavors in 2022.
Listen, it's not, knowing your story and knowing your background, it's not just strategic. I just feel like you just had the audacity. Like you were such a go-getter and so focused on, I want this thing and I'm going to go get this thing, and really, really set yourself up to be where you are today. And we're going to get some more back. We're going to jump right back into it. But I want to talk to you, Alan, right? So you're known as the lawyer's lawyer in terms of in the sports industry, right? Tell me how, sports and entertainment law. So tell me what drew you to this industry, and why is it such a good fit for your personality?
I always wanted to be a lawyer. My dad and my grandfather owned a bagel bakery, and my grandpa always called me counselor. And I thought he was talking about like sleepaway camp or camp counselor. I didn't know that counselor meant lawyer at the time. Yeah. So I always wanted to be a lawyer, and I loved sports. I played football and I pole vaulted, but I also played guitar and played in a band. And back in the day, and it's still now, but back in the day, you had the drama people on one side and the jocks on the other. And I was always able to sort of commingle, for lack of a better term, and go from one to the other, because I like music. My brother played bass guitar. He's a year younger than I am. We were in the apartment together all the time playing. I had a big mouth, as you can tell, and I wanted to become a lawyer. But I was slow, white, and Jewish, and I wasn't a good football player, okay? I was okay, but slow, white, and Jewish is a lot better as a lawyer than it is as a football player or as an athlete.
Well, at least you know.
Oh, I no, you got to know. See, the thing about us, you got to know. You know, we
Yeah.
all of us. You know something. You know your limitations. You know what your sweet spot is. And sports was my sweet spot. My big open was that my partner, my senior partner, Milton Fertel, a long time ago, had said to me, I was representing WQAM, a sports radio station. And he said, you got a lot of work from sports now. Why don't we open up a sports and entertainment division? And that was sort of like a dream come true. My fortune was that there was a guy named Barrett Robbins who was with the Oakland Raiders. And he went AWOL in San Diego in 2003. And I had sent out these 10 rules for players and coaches and athletes and entertainers. And my article was sent out back in the day, because I'm a fossil. We didn't have the internet. We had the AP and the UPI wire service. And we sent out on this wire service the announcement of the opening of the Fertel, Rodriguez and Michelle sports and entertainment division. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, I got called by the NFL because they were doing a project on teaching athletes how to stay out of trouble and how to deal with the celebrity of being athletes. And then I had to make a decision. And my decision was I did not want to become an agent. I wanted to be a sports lawyer. And there's a reason for that. The first reason was because I didn't want to babysit, to be honest with you. Agents work on a contingency. If they don't do the deal, they don't get paid, and they really do have to babysit their athletes.
Absolutely.
A lawyer does not have to do that. I'm an hourly. I'm not on, if the deal doesn't happen, I still get paid.
Right.
So I'm the person in the room, believe it or not, that's able to be unbiased. And if the deal doesn't happen, it's okay. And if the deal happens, it's okay. Of course, you want the deal to happen.
Right.
But sometimes an agent, with respect to agents, and I have many of them that I work with, they push the deal because they want to get paid.
Right.
It's an inherent conflict of interest. It's not a conflict, but it's inherent conflict of interest. You're doing what you do, and you may say to your athlete, do this deal, because if you don't, you're not getting paid. I can tell them, do the deal or don't do the deal, and I still get paid, which is really important. The second reason is, if I was an agent and a lawyer, no agent would send me legal business for their athletes because I would steal them on the agent side, and they know that. So it takes, you sort of constrain yourself. You stay in your lane, bro. You know what I mean? You be a lawyer. You act like a lawyer. You're not anything but a lawyer.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not the show. I'm a little bit of the show today, but normally I'm not in front of the camera.
Right.
I'm behind the camera, like those people over there.
Well, look, I'm happy that you're in front of the camera today, right? But you touched on a lot of points. I want to just talk about Miami, though, right? And the opportunity we have here when it comes down to sports. It's, as you both have kind of, mentioned, the athlete nowadays is not just the athlete, right? It's not just about what you physically can do. It's also something that is appealing to the viewer to make them like them, right? To make them want to go buy the products that they're now selling.
They're brands.
They're brands.
They're not just people.
Exactly.
They're LLCs.
Yep.
They're corporations. They're brands. They're entities.
Absolutely.
They're conglomerates.
Yes. So how
LeBron, conglomerate.
Right.
Wayne, conglomerate.
So, literally, so in a place like Miami where everything's glitz and glamour, like, what's your thoughts on that? Is that a good thing? Are we moving in a position where athletes should be promoting and having commercials, or do you miss where it might have been more solely about the sport?
Listen, as someone who's managed athletes for 15 years and advises them on brands and businesses, you can't do one without the other, right? You being a brand or you being a business as an athlete depends on your performance first. You first have to win, right? So if you win first, then you can successfully build yourself as a brand or a businessman or businesswoman, because the fan base is a consumer segment that will be attracted to you based on your performance first,
Right.
and then everything else comes into that play, right? And so it has to work. It has to be an interchanging play where the performance feeds off the brand, and then the brand will also feed off the performance as well.
So building on that, Arlesha, let's talk about Miami, right? Like, how does that look here and where we live?
Yeah. So I love that question because I am born and raised from Miami. You won't find a lot of people who will say that these days.
Right. Me too, girl. Me too.
Oh, okay. Born and raised.
Yeah.
I love that. So for me, I have been very privileged to have Miami as the headquarter for my career, especially in an industry where folks will typically make a move to New York City, as you mentioned, Los Angeles or Chicago. I've remained in Miami, and I'm so happy that I have. For me, again, I'm someone who has foresight and vision. So I had foresight and vision in terms of where the sports industry was going to go. And I had foresight and vision in terms of which market was going to be a good market to be in. And so I never forced myself to make the move to New York or San Francisco, as I almost did. But I think Miami has seen different iterations of its kind of sports version. So obviously LeBron in 2010, and then Derek Jeter, coming down here to lead the front office of the Miami Marlins. And then now, we're on the heels of Lionel Messi making his move here, MLS. And then you see all of these sport expansions, moving to Miami, F1 having a presence here.
Right.
It's something that I saw coming. And so I was very bullish in betting on Miami, and I'm glad I did. And not only for the financial benefit of no state income tax, the lifestyle benefit of you can't beat the weather aside from hurricane season.
Right now, as I'm looking at this storm.
I knew I heard rain. But it's attractive, and it's why, every few years you will see top talent being attracted to the market. Like we saw in LeBron when LeBron came down here in 2010 when I first started my career.
Absolutely. I think you've touched on very valid points in terms of the attractiveness of Miami and that forethought and just the visionary that you are. Alan, any drawbacks to Miami, or are you on the same page?
The University of Miami won its first national championship my third year of law school, so that was like 83, 84. And Miami was not a big event town at that point in time. In fact, we had the Super Bowl a couple of times, but South Beach was Jewish and Cuban grandmas. So you got to understand, when I came to law school here, there was no shot at being an entertainment or sports lawyer in Miami.
Right.
That's first.
So how did you see this then?
Well, I put it on hold.
Okay.
I became a lawyer. One of the things I speak to young lawyers a lot, and I'm a member of the Entertainment, Arts, and Sports Law Division. I'm on their executive council. I'm on the board. And I speak to kids, because everybody's a kid to me now that I'm 66 years old, to be honest with you. But I tell them, when they ask me how to break in, I say, you be a lawyer.
Gotcha.
The first thing you do is you be a good lawyer, and then you'll figure it out, because sports law, there's some nuances. You got to be good at contracts. You got to be able to negotiate. But really, it's just about representing a client who happens to be an athlete, or representing a client that happens to be a club, in other words, there's no such real thing as entertainment lawyer or sports lawyer. But I made a decision to stay here. Small fish, big pond. I didn't want to do. I didn't want to go back to New York. And I waited. And it came, and it happened. And I got to go to the Towers Group, and I got to go to the NFL, and I went to the NFL. I mean, they called me up, and I did a video in NFL Films, and it was one of the most fantastic experiences of my life. But Miami is the sports capital of the world.
Really?
And I said this about 10 years ago.
Wait, that's a bold statement.
Hold on, I'm going to prove it to you.
Okay.
you just heard some of the things. But name me a sport that we don't have now. We have every single major sports league here. Not only that, we have championships in college. We have bowl games, the Orange Bowl.
Very
we
true.
have what I used to call the Lipton, which is now the Miami Open. We have the Formula One races. We have NASCAR. We have Homestead. We have tennis. We have everything. We have Messi. We have soccer.
Yeah.
So you ask, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's a great thing, okay? Because this is where I've raised my children. This is where my family is. This is where I am. This is where my law firm is.
Yeah.
And I have far outpunted my own coverage. I mean, it's amazing. My daughter was a swimmer for Florida, an All-American swimmer, and I was a swim dad. And all of a sudden, just from being a swim dad, I got two of the best swimmers in the world. And they took me to the Olympics in the second freaking row in the Olympics at the pool. I'm seeing world records. I'm seeing gold medals. I'm with the family. I'm on NBC television. It was the most and sponsors kissed the ring. I represent not just the athlete. I represent the whole family.
Yeah.
When I represent these athletes, anything happens to their family members, I take care of that too. And that's how I build my brand. I'm not just a sports lawyer. I'm not just an entertainment lawyer. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I represent you, and I protect you, and I make sure you know that you're protected. And athletes are targets.
Well, before you go into
Good.
that, though, I want
Sorry.
to touch a little bit more on athlete protection, right? Because I think we see now with NIL deals opposed to traditional scholarships being a big topic right now, right? Whether or not we should even be considering name, image, likeness, or whether they should just get what traditionally has been given, right? What's your take on that, and whether or not it's important? You know, Alan, you've already mentioned that you think that it's very important to protect athletes, right?
100%.
100%, right? That's why you're in the business that you're in right now. Arlesha, what's your take on protection of athletes from a contractual lens, but also from just a human lens of what's right is right, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nuances in terms of what protection is, and protection is different at every point of the journey. You know, to your point about NIL, you know, NIL is this circus show right now, right?
Wild, wild west.
Literally, the wild, wild west. And it's the reason why I don't participate in it. And that's a business decision for me.
I do.
But I know you do. However, I don't mind NIL. I don't mind the notion of these collegiate players earning funds and revenue. It's fair, right? It's fair. What I appreciate about the NIL system is that it does give these athletes an opportunity to begin their personal development process much sooner, which will make everyone's job easier. The manager, the agent, the lawyer who comes on board to work with them and protect them, right? They get a chance to understand financial literacy sooner and implement those aspects. They get a chance to understand how to leverage social media, how to find their voice, how to make their mistakes much earlier than later in life when the stakes are much higher. So that I appreciate. And in terms of them, you know, generating revenue for themselves and earning that, what I also appreciate is that it allows them to manage their egos and understand that process. Because when you come into the pros, there's going to be this notion of not everyone's going to get paid the same. And I know that that's what people defend as unfair in the NIL system, but that's the sports system. That's sports business. NIL is actually not a new concept. It's just new in college. We've always, you know, every contract had name, image, likeness as its own paragraph on every agreement. It's just new in college. So for them to understand the processes of that much sooner before they come into the pros, I really appreciate that. I think that it's helpful for a player to understand that your teammate might make more money than you. and you need to manage your ego. Nike doesn't give everyone the same contract,
Right.
right? Manage your ego, learn what that is, understand that process, understand the nuances behind that. And so I appreciate that for what it is when, when it comes to the NIL system.
Now, do you think that, is it a matter that, okay, some people are getting paid more because of their performance versus you're getting paid more because you bring a flair, an energy, and some type of trend to the organization as a whole? Is that part of that conversation? What's your thoughts on whether it should be performance based or whether it should be brand based? Either one could take it.
I can tell you that when NIL originally was proposed, it was not performance based. Okay? It was supposed to be anti-performance based. It was supposed to be based upon your task. In other words, everyone was supposed to do something for this money, not just play ball. Let's go back to NIL. One thing, it's a cluster. And it's a cluster because there's no federal preemption. Right. It's run state by state. Every state is different. You were just talking about athletes, college athletes. States now have high school athletes earning NIL. The problem there isn't that these kids are learning anything other than their parents are ripping off their money. Because they're 16 and 15 and 14 years old, and the parents are their legal guardians, and they open up guardianship accounts, but they're pulling the money out, and they're saying it's for John, the jock, but really it's for mommy and daddy to go to do whatever they want. So it's an abused system. There's something else called the transfer portal. Now that they have the transfer portal combined with NIL, it's open season. It's like all of these athletes are free agents. And they allow them to do this because it used to be when you transferred, you had to sit for a year and you were only allowed to transfer one time. Now they're getting exemptions on transferring, so they don't sit, and they can transfer 2 or 3 times. It's so bad that starting quarterbacks leave and go somewhere else for the cash. And now with the House settlement, it's not even a sidelight anymore. It's direct. The schools are paying the athletes based upon their performance. So it's ass backwards right now to when they started. Because I was a big proponent of this. My whole life I was saying the NCAA is bad. They take advantage of these kids. And I played Division II ball, and they are bad, okay? Don't get me wrong. But because of what's happened now with the transfer portal and being able to go back and forth and having no state regulation, no federal preemption of one law, just one freaking law across the board, everybody has to comply with that law and get high school kids out of this. It's not for high school kids. College, okay. All right? Pros, different story.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different ballgame right now.
Listen, between the two of you, I just feel like I went to sports education 101 or something. But when an athlete becomes, let's say, more known for their business empire than it is for the actual performance or athletic abilities, do you see that as a win or do you see it as a distraction? Are they building their legacy or are folks getting away from the true meaning of sports and entertainment?
You got this. Go ahead.
No, it's a total win. It's a total win for the athlete. It's a total win for their legacy. It's a total win for the league. It's a total win for the sport. First and foremost, sports and entertainment is a commercialized institution.
It's a business.
It's a business. So we're seeing athletes taking their stake in the ecosystem, right? Just as much as now we're seeing collegiate athletes, taking their stake. Pro athletes have always, operated themselves in a way where they're able to leverage that. And athletes are brands, athletes are businesses. And what they do, the benefit for a league or the sport in general is that they're opening up new pathways for fans, right? Because let's take, without making this a Taylor Swift conversation, look at Travis Kelce, right? So now you have Kansas City Chiefs fans who are coming in, not because they were tuning in for Kansas City, but
Right.
because of what his brand alliance is now with, right?
Yeah.
So there's elements there where the player helps to force amplify the business for the sport in general. And so
Yeah.
it's a win-win for everyone across the board. And I wouldn't be doing my job any
Right.
service by saying that it's not a win, because this is what I do all day. I help
Yeah.
athletes build brands, build businesses, and develop IP.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I'll be the first to say, I am not a sports girl at all, if I'm
I
being
knew that.
honest, right?
I knew that.
But why did it tell him myself?
No, we've talked before. It's not the first time I've ever met you.
Okay.
You have other interests.
But let me say, my
Tell.
favorite basketball player so happened to be Steph Curry. And it's not because completely because of what he does, as much as it is what he stands for,
How
the
he is.
family
How he
life.
is.
Yeah.
Yes, and
he
I'm a fan of
portrays
his
himself.
wife.
That's right.
All
Good.
those things make me tune into Golden State, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I experience it myself of being the consumer that is a fan of the organization because of the athlete. Right, so I get it all together, but I thought Alan was over there trying to throw straight shade, telling me
No,
like,
I'm not trying. No shade whatsoever. Let me respond to that, if I may. I think the whole goal here is generational wealth.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the goal. So athletes, because they are athletes, have a very limited shelf life in their sport. Okay, some more than others, but mostly it's a short shelf life. It's a 3 to 5, 3 to 7 kind of existence. Some do 10 and 12. Some, like Caleb Dressel, 4 Olympics. That's a good amount of time. But because their time as a athletic star is so short, you got to do everything that you can within that period of time to set them up for the success story that you just suggested. Because we're doing our job if the client is not only a good athlete, but is perceived to be a good person,
Right.
likable, trustworthy. He or she endorser.
Yeah.
You buy the product.
Right.
They need to focus on every single thing that goes on in their career. And then they need good professionals around them to make sure that when that career is over, another career starts.
Right.
Whether it be a broadcaster, an
Right.
endorser, a businessman. But really, the shelf life is small, the real life is long. Most athletes are broke.
Absolutely. And I'll add to that about the shelf life. Absolutely small, right? It's short. I call it the window of impact. That window of impact is short. And it's the reason why I emphasize IP. You know, going back to the idea of
Forever
generational
and
wealth. IP goes forever and ever. It's not, you know, when you get an endorsement deal, there's gonna be a term end. IP has no term end. Right. And so, you know, at Champion Strategies, if I can do a plug,
You
know,
can.
it's
That's
why
why you're
my
here.
consultancy prioritizes developing IP. Yeah, we can, you know, get you your endorsement deal, your agents do their thing, your lawyers do their thing, and make sure that that endorsement contract is tight and appropriate. But IP is where it's at. IP
Right.
is where that value extends. And, you know, as you mentioned, Steph was actually the one who taught me that. You know, part of his brand building or brand empire, one part is endorsement deals, the other part is IP. And just seeing how that value creation can go above and beyond his Golden State Warriors run. It
Right.
can go above and beyond. I mean, his kids can take the baton, right? And so to that point, that's
Generational
where
wealth.
generational
It's a
wealth,
beautiful thing.
IP, and obviously the need for lawyers, right, to
Yes.
oversee that
It's
IP.
another beautiful
Another
thing.
plug. That's where it's at.
We appreciate it. So look, you guys have given us, I'm telling you, so much in this episode to chew on for days, okay? Like, we are full. We ate up in here. So, but before we go, we like to play a little game called This or That, a little rapid fire.
little
And don't
rapid
think
fire.
too hard, all right? Just go ahead and give me what first comes out. It's not
you
too
should
hard.
be scared.
I know I should be with you. So this is the Courtside Edition, okay?
All right, go ahead.
So the Heat or the Dolphins?
Heat.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Dolphins. Dolphins.
Okay.
Any team I saw born is my team.
All right.
Dolphins were here before I got here. I'm a Giant fan.
I'll give it to the Dolphins.
Okay. So next up, Dwyane Wade or Steph Curry?
Wade,
Now, why would you do that?
You can't. You're conflicted.
We're still friends, though.
No, you're
Different.
confident.
All
I'll say,
right. Say either one.
Wade, because he was here, he made us. He was wonderful, the Marquette guy. Got
Okay.
Bosch and LeBron here, and
All
he's a
right,
wonderful
Wade
human
County.
being.
Wade. I have to say Wade. Yeah.
Wade County, got you.
Best boss. Love him forever.
Oh, and I see it from your social media posts. All right, so endorsement deal or ownership stake?
You already know ownership stake.
All right.
I think it depends on the brand that we're talking about ownership in, with respect, because there are some teams and oof, they're just horrible.
Okay.
So I'll say ownership, but it's got to be the right ownership.
Got you.
That's true.
I probably know the answer to this too. NIL or old school scholarship?
NIL.
NIL.
Scholarships don't cut it anymore. Everyone's making too much money.
Yeah.
Okay.
NIL.
So Messi Magic or Heat championship run?
I'm a heater. I represent Sevilla. I'm a soccer guy. I don't even call it football. I call it soccer. But, oh, man, Heat.
Heat championship run.
My God.
All right.
Absolutely.
Contract.
All of them. All three of them.
All right, last one, guys. Contracts or culture?
Culture.
Okay.
Contracts.
I'm sure it gets you paid for a living.
I like culture, too. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to be cool, but you know what? It's cool to get paid.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so look, this was really great, guys. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure it won't be the last time you made it here on these green couches. But again, appreciate your time and your energy and your knowledge.
Thank you for having us.
We like you as well, and
Yes.
you're doing a hell of a job here. And even you guys back there, too, just so you know.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Chanae.
you, Chanae.
So here's the takeaway. Athletes aren't just playing the game, they're rewriting the playbook. And Miami is the court where it all plays out. Big thanks to Alan and Arlesha for joining us, and to you for tuning in to The Intersection. Until next time, remember the real game happens where law, business, and culture converge.